Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of real estate investing and the random stuff that makes life interesting. I'm John Whitfield, joined by my co-hosts, Carlos Zamora from 4 Carrots and VP from Texas Thompson Mobile Home Park. How's it going, gents?
Emphasis on the stuff today. Some real estate, some mobiles, but a lot of stuff today.
Why do you have is that a container of Vaseline next to those carrots you have hanging up on your wall? Like, bro.
No,
What? I don't even know what you're talking about.
John's looking. John's like,
Oh.
wait a second. Wait a second, bro. I dig the new backdrop. It is pretty awesome. Always repping carrot sites. So listen, I want to say something. I'm gonna hijack this real quick. I'm gonna give props. Like, we've been doing this show for like 3.5 years, maybe. Who knows at this point? We're pretty deep, and we've had a handful of guests on. And although we bullshit quite a bit and talk about a lot of fucking nonsense, when we have a guest on, I feel like we're extremely professional. What our guests don't know is John does a lot in the background, and so does Carlos, setting up guests, doing pre-shows, talking to them, coming up with topics, so that way we're all in line when we get on the show. And then when we're on, we usually spend time and actually give them time to talk and really dive into what they want to talk about and what you guys need to know based on whatever that topic is. We have fun with it. Mm-hmm. Usually they go for like an hour and a half, depending, sometimes more. Dude, so I got on this podcast, right? Because I talked to Carlos, and many people have been like, Brandon, if you want to buy more mobile home parks, you need to go on the podcast circuit. You need to be on.
Oh, you went on a guest?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I get this email. Mike Hambright with Investor Fuel sends out an email like, hey, I need podcast guests. So I'm like, cool, I'd love to talk to Mike. Well, bait and switch. You're not really talking to Mike. So and that's fine. I was like, okay, who am I to fucking decide who I talk to? Like, I'm willing to hop on any podcast at this point, just get my feet wet and get on the circuit. So you start getting these, like, they're really good at automatic text messages, and they say, hey, by the way, you're going to be on the podcast with so-and-so. So I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. So that's cool. And I'm going to be on with this dude. I'm not going to name names or anything like that. It's just whatever. And so I'm like, okay, fine. Nothing. This was like 2 weeks of like booking. No emails, no follow-up. Just like, it's like a form you fill out when you sign up to be the guest. What do you want to talk about? Who are you?
So you didn't actually like schedule anything. It's just like, I'm interested.
It's an automatic. I'm interested. It's a funnel. I'm interested. Fill out your info. Who are you? Give me a headshot. What's your social handle? And what do you want to talk about? Okay. Boom. And from there, it's a video. Oh, by the way, Mike gets on this video. He's like, hey, by the way, if you know, we're Investor Fuel, and we now host a couple podcasts. So one of my podcast hosts is, this dude. And you're going to be talking to him. I'm like, oh, okay. So I watched the video. I'm like, cool. They send a text message saying the same thing. Over the next couple of weeks, I get automatic reminders. But no pre-show, no nothing. I was like, man, like, that's really, like, I've been on a bunch of shows, and like, either way, you're either texting or emailing about like stuff. Yeah. Like, I've been on, like, even like when I was on Rick's, very informal podcast, but like emailing, texting, like, hey dude, like, what do you want to do? Nothing. Mm-hmm. I'd never talked to the guy, discussed anything until the show. So I'm there, and I get this automatic reminder. I'm like, dude, you need to be on this thing, 1 hour reminder. I'm like, shit, like, I better fucking hurry up. I just took down a park. Like, I am busy, and I'm like, I'm making time for this. Like, I'm doing this. Bro, I'm sitting there. 15 minutes goes by, not showing up. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even shitting you. I'm like, dude, like, I'm just going to dip out of here. And I got distracted because I was on my phone, like, just doing shit. You know how that time sucks that away. A couple minutes later, he logs in. And he's like, hey, thanks for being patient. All right, let's get to it. And I'm like, this kid's like 20-some fucking years old, right? we all are at some point. And it's just, the whole vibe was like, I was actually, and you know me, I could contain myself, but I was like visibly pissed. And I was like debating whether to tell him to go fuck himself or whether to just do the show. You know what I mean? Like, because had it not been I was on my phone, I would have just logged out and went about my day. I had to go get money from the bank anyway for a thing. And I was like, cool, like, I now have time to run to the bank. And like, he gets on and he's like, okay. And Mike specifically says, we have an hour, you know, we're going to set you up for an hour. It's generally, that's how long it goes. So he gets on. He's like, all right, man, like, here's what we're going to do. We want to talk about, it's a 25-minute show. And I'm like, who the fuck does 25-minute fucking shows? Like, who the fuck are you?
Pretty
What is
short.
this, like, fucking mommy and
Especially with
baby
no
time?
pre-show to like get down to the nuts. and
Like an
bolts.
episode of Entourage.
Yeah, right. yeah. And then he's like, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about your journey, your background, like everything that brought you up to this. And it says here, your mobile home park. Okay, yeah, that sounds cool. Love to talk about that. And then we'll save some time. We'll get into that a little bit, and then we'll save some time for you to pitch whatever you want to pitch at the end. And I'm like, I'm not like pitching anything, dude. Like, okay. Jumps right into it. No intro, no fucking intro. Like, we do awesome intros. Just like, okay, I'm here with my guest Brandon Pedersen. And I'm like, hey.
Let's link up the episode.
Literally,
where
like,
can we watch you on
time.
this episode?
The entire time I spent, of my 25 allotted minutes, I spent like 15 answering questions about like 2010. Like, just like, and he kept asking me, so like, it must have been pretty like chaotic back then. I'm like, yeah, dude, it was pretty fucking chaotic. So, you know me, I tried to like sweep it forward by speeding through him, like, okay, I know you're going to ask all this. Here we go. Here's to mobile home parks. He asked me, literally, I get 2 questions on mobile home parks. 2 questions. He asked me about how rent is derived and like, you know, like a difference between senior mobile home park and an all age. Then he starts talking about RV parks. I'm responding to him, cuts me off. All right. It's been 25 minutes. We're about out of our time. What do you want to tell people where to find you? And what do you want to tell them about you? And I'm like, you can go to my social. And that was it, dude. Like, it was the most abrupt ending to a podcast I've ever been on or ever watched in my entire life. I was like, okay. And at the very end, we log off and he goes, hey man, thank you so much. That was epic. That was awesome. You know, And he's like, no, what can I do for you to add value to you? And in my head, this is what I was thinking. I was like, well, you should turn the fucking camera back on and actually do a real goddamn podcast and actually let's talk about something other than my goddamn fucking journey. No one wants to. I hate people's podcasts.
You do hate that.
Talk about your fucking journey.
You do hate that.
Everyone knows your journey, bro. We all know you're a crackhead, drug addict, sales guy. You fucking were deep into this or that. You came up, you succeeded. You made, like, we've all heard it, dude. Like, and that's all it was. And it was like, and so I just said, no, man, just post the episode. I appreciate being on. I was very polite. And I logged off, and then I got the automatic text messages from Mike. And it's like, I heard the podcast was great.
That's amazing.
Let me know if you want to sign up for our mastermind. It's like, the fuck I would ever sign up for your fucking mastermind. I've heard nothing but good things about it, so that's not a dig on his mastermind because I've never been a part of it, but I have heard wonderful things about what they do over there.
Yeah.
I was just like, I thought this whole thing was a very transactional. I felt like they stole from me, and that's fine. Like, it felt like you almost stole something from me, but I gave you nothing because you wouldn't even let me give you anything. Right. And I was just like, and after that, I was like, man, I really respect what we do with ours. And like a lot of the guys who host good podcasts where they really take their time to do it. And it's like some of these guys, they're doing it strictly to try to gain something for themselves. And I feel like with us, we're open, we talk. There's no, like, I'm not reserved. Like, we talk about all kinds of things. We talk about Investor Fuse customers, Carrot, where we bring customers on. We talk about money, revenue, personal stuff. When we bring guests on, prior to our pre-show, we always make sure we could talk about the nitty gritty, right? And so the guests are ready for it for our viewers. And so anyway, I was just like, this only gave me more appreciation for how a podcast should be run and how we do it. And I'm not even saying we're the best, right? You have guys like Steve Trang and Ryan Pineda and all those guys who crush podcasts. But there's a lot of work to it. And I was like, and I went, so I go and I'm like, this is my jealous, like, my side of things. I go onto his fucking channel and I'm like, I'll see if it's 25 fucking minutes, you piece of shit. And I go on, there's no 25 minutes. They're all like 33, 45. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like,
because he was 15 minutes late, he cut you short.
He cut me short because he had something at the turn of the hour.
Yeah.
So because he was like 20 minutes late, 25, wrap up, talk to me at the end because he had to pitch me on the Investor Fuel Mastermind. Even though what bothered me is like, well, I just literally told you what I do. That has nothing to do with what you're pitching me
you
on.
do.
Right? Like, dude, you could have saved the pitch. But yeah, so I was like, man, either way, I'm on it. And then he's like, by the way, so we'll probably release this sometime in June or July. I was like,
guess
Really,
they probably
really
have a lot
archiving
of
that one.
these.
yeah,
I mean, it's clearly a sales funnel.
it is 100%. I'm now in their funnel, and I'm like, but you know what? I listened, and I did exactly what Carlos and other people told me to do. Get on the circuit.
It's not a bad sales funnel if you think about it. Like,
Not at all.
find the people that are successful enough that they're willing to talk about themselves on the internet. Like, that's not a bad sales
If he
funnel.
would have done it and actually cared.
Yeah.
If he would have actually, so like, you know, and I know I talk a lot, right? But between you and Carlos, like when you guys ask questions, it's very your intent is to learn, right? Like especially Carlos, I feel like, you know, you're always allowing people to talk and really trying to get to things. It's probably why you're good at what you do. But with him, he's the worst podcast host ever. Like, and I watch podcasts, like, bro, like all I do is listen to podcasts and watch them either on YouTube or Spotify. Like I am an addict to these things, and we all know, fucking worst. And it's like, bro, like you should be learning as you go. And it's like, you know, just you should never, as a podcast host, my belief is you personally as the host should never have a hard time cut. It should be up to your guest. Because it is rude if they took the time off to be with you, that you should be the one ending the podcast because you're too busy. Then you should have never had that, right? It's like at your house. You invite somebody over. You should be a gracious host and be prepared to talk to them and spend as much time as necessary, right? And let them decide. Unless
It's easy to Monday morning quarterback, but you got to offer a reschedule at that point. If you come up 15 minutes and you only have that short of time, you at least have to offer a reschedule. Like, hey man, can we do this just to get full time, or like, do you just want to bang one out real quick? I'm trying to find the podcast channel on the other screen here.
Oh, you know,
Investor Fuel. Oh,
I'll tell you offline.
Cool.
I'll tell you offline. But I mean, and listen, like he's a good kid, but like again, all I felt was like he was only doing it one for a sales funnel. And two, and I think for Mike, like if it was me and I was trying to have like a gaggle of podcasts in my portfolio, I would definitely be watching what I'm doing and be like, these aren't up to my standards, or like, hey, why are they? I hate 30-minute podcasts. Like, does anybody else absolutely hate them? Because I feel like by the time it just feels like for the majority of them, unless the topic is over, like so many of them, I feel like I just get up to it. And like, cool, like now teach me something. And they're like, okay, thanks for coming on the show. And you're like,
and with that, I hope you all have a great week.
John, I still have 6 more minutes, bro. Come on. That was pretty much it. I finished a sentence in response to him, and then he just stopped, and I was like, let's fucking do it, bro. Fucking do it.
Oh, God.
One day, I'm going to be so fucking important that I'm going to have a minimum time. I'm like, you want me on your show? There's a fucking minimum. I'm not getting off before an hour unless you suck, and then it's my choice.
Yeah. You want to end the podcast.
So you're what it sounds like is that we have a good guest potential to get on the show. If you want to get the guy that interviewed me, get on the show.
Yeah. But at the same time, even when I don't disagree with our guests, I've never blatantly been rude to any of our guests. And you know, there have been people on that I disagree with what their beliefs are in a lot of stuff. I can think of a few.
Ellis from Pad Split. We'll see how that goes.
Except for that one guy. I'm not going to name names, but there's one guy that we had scheduled to be on our fucking show. And he heard what I wanted to title it, which I felt was not a rude title at all. And he heard about like my beliefs on like I wanted the topic to be about. And honestly, it wasn't even negative towards him. And he fucking canceled the day of. Yeah. And he's like, I'm not coming on you. And listen, I respect it. But like, yeah, he fucking dipped out real fucking fast when he knew that it was not going to be a puff piece. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So.
Yeah.
And then there was the one, anyway. But anyway.
I was gonna say just the state of the era of podcasting is interesting now.
Everybody wants to have a podcast.
There are so many podcasts.
And they're all, I feel like even though we don't have the biggest podcast, we're consistent. And most of them are not consistent.
If there's one thing, we're consistent. We got
consistent. If there's one consistent as all hell. We are consistent, yeah.
We are consistent as all hell. If we turn this into an OnlyFans channel, it would probably make some money by now. I'm just talking game.
mean,
Podcast I do want to see though. That's just brought up. End State of Dispo is Robert Wensley on Ryan Pineda's podcast.
That could be interesting. Or just Puff.
That just came out. That just came out last night. Well, just what they're doing is interesting, and it's a pretty open debate now between investor based, the more like cost efficient AI buyer matching versus investor lift. So it is interesting. So I personally am going to watch that. I started this morning watching just a little bit, so it's on my history in queue. But yeah, the Era podcast is interesting what Investor Fuel is doing just for essentially generating leads. They're just doing a massive volume play.
Yeah.
Like I think they're even running ads for it to get people on podcasts, and it's like my game breakers like what we want.
I had an email ad basically.
Yeah.
That's how I came to him. I mean, he's got a full funnel up. Speaking of AI, though, Optimus robots can now make themselves. There you go. We're fucking done.
That's
what are
crazy.
Optimus robots?
The Tesla bot.
Oh,
Humanoid? Is that different than a humanoid?
I don't know.
not surprised. I mean, like, did you not think that was coming?
I just thought we'd be smart enough not to teach them to make themselves.
Yeah.
Luckily,
Like-
Elon has a healthy relationship with AI, so
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots of security practices in place with the robots building themselves.
If there's one thing I've seen in any movie. Okay, Jurassic Park had a lot of fucking security measures in place until what's his name? What was that fucking dude's name? Newman. Until Newman decided to fucking steal some fucking DNA. Fucking that was it.
That
Shut
had
the
nothing to
power
do
off.
with like what ultimately happened. It was the
It did.
storm. Oh,
He
that's
shut the
right.
power
because he
down.
shut the power down. That's right. Okay.
That
you're
started it all, bro. And then the T-Rex, and then not trying to spoiler alert a 40-year-old movie. For
God, I
anybody.
hope everybody's watched Jurassic Park.
I haven't seen that in so long.
You haven't seen Jurassic Park. What's wrong with you?
No, I've seen it, but I haven't seen it like in
No,
so
I know.
long.
I'm just saying that to the audience that
No,
might.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. The only reason why John and me probably have seen it recently is because we have to with kids.
Have
Every
children,
time a kid hits a certain age, you have to cycle through all of
Jurassic
those
Park time.
Yeah.
Star Wars. Yep.
I
Oh,
Lord
waited
of the
for all mine were
Rings,
old
Star
enough to watch them.
Wars, yeah, Harry Potter's, all the movies. Like once they're old enough, yeah.
I just got to try to figure out how to get my kid to watch Star Trek. I'll be the
Yeah.
only one in the family. It's hard.
No.
I don't know how to start that.
Have you started your Doctor Who stuff with your kids? I mean, your
No,
British-
I haven't. I like that one would be fun. I think they'd all enjoy Doctor Who. I haven't watched it for a few seasons, like probably 3 years. I haven't watched it.
Oh.
But classic.
I did it with my daughter when she was 9.
Yeah.
We did it. And my son.
She like it?
Oh yeah, dude. There was one time, so I bought this little mini Weeping Angel right during the
Yes.
Weeping Angel episodes, and I set up a camera in her bedroom. It was like it was like a couple nights before Christmas, and I set it up, and I put like a little stand in front of her bed, and I put this like Weeping Angel statue right in front of her bed, and I put the camera up. I've never seen anybody jump out of their bed so high and so fast. The scream, you would have thought she was being murdered. It was the best joke I've ever done. Occasionally we like to watch the video and I like to make fun of her again for it. And we're going to do it to my son. So,
All right. So because we're talking about this, and I don't get to talk about this very often, who was your daughter's favorite doctor, and who's yours?
I don't know. So I haven't watched the most recent ones and I don't
No,
know. So I would
I
say
haven't watched them.
the third doctor.
He is really good. I'm a fan of David Tennant though.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know their
I
actual
can't remember
name.
the third doctor's name, but I know who you're talking about. The guy who's in the Crown now.
The guy who was punching through the wall when he got trapped and he was punching through the time wall to come back.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. He's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
The show definitely like stepped up a notch during his time.
Whenever time we watch it and you start season 1, everyone in my family goes, "What the f- is this show?" Because the graphics, the acting, everything is horrible. It looks like it's out of like a high school type of production.
You just
And then
gotta
it gets better and then you get addicted after like 5, 6, 7 episodes and you don't even realize it. And you go, anyway, let's talk about AI. I had some stuff, John. I was going to tell you something. Trump was making this AI thing where it's like, man, I don't even know. I thought maybe you would know where he wants
Haven't heard of
AI
that.
in schools. And then Dan Martell had talked about how we should be teaching kids AI because essentially it's like he was going through and he's like, for business, he was like, you have an idea? He's like, I have an idea for this. ChatGPT, run down a few things, name of the business. Okay. I need a website for it, write the code for it. And he was showing people how to utilize AI to better their life. And I thought that was very interesting when it comes to education, because I follow a school called Alpha School. And it's down in Austin, and she caters to like, it's like a homeschool private school where they allow you to use AI, robotics, all these, whatever your passion is. And it's more like a homeschool environment, and you focus on that, tech or whatever, learn your stuff, but they're done within a few hours, kind of like your kids are with homeschooling. And then the remainder of the day, they work on a business, they work on tech, robotics, AI, whatever their thing is. And that's how they get the kids prepared for life. And I thought that was cool.
Man, you just like
kids starting with that, you insane.
you just started with like 7 topics, and
you should, I know, but you should follow them. I guess the moral of the story is how does AI in the state of schooling change?
I think it's really interesting
without it. Yeah,
because there are like I mean, I have a couple of connections, right? Just like kids in school, and then through the Turtle people, a few of them are teachers. And so their perspective is that AI should not be used ever. And it's interesting because like I can imagine it, right? Like a teacher's in it and it's like, oh my God, like I worked my whole life. I had to learn all of these things. And now these kids are coming in and they're just using AI to write essays. It's not fucking fair. They're not learning anything. But they're not like looking at the bigger picture. And I think what your points are like leading to is like the world when these kids get into it is going to be incredibly different. And if they are not trained and taught and teached the right way to get to that world, then they're going to be incredibly unprepared. And then the fact of the matter is the kids are doing it anyways. So like why fight it? Like why not raise the bar? And so that's what like started getting me into these kind of like this thought pattern is I found a couple of videos where teachers were like, hey, stop fighting it. Like let's figure out how to embrace it. How do we use AI as a tool to make the kids better at critical thinking? And it's like just like the calculator was in math. Like it's a tool now in an arsenal, and it can help them get better and faster and learn faster potentially. And it's really interesting. And I don't like know how much is happening in public education or in college. So I hope there's more people like adopting it. I see a lot of videos of like AI for college kids.
Me too.
And I actually have a tool on my other like half of my screen here. Have you guys heard of the Notebook LM by Google? It's like one of these like teaching tools. And so OpenAI released a 30-page document on the practical guide to building agents and using with building AI agents. And so you can upload this into Notebook LM, which is free, and then you can use it as like a training tool. And one of its really cool things is you can turn it into an audio overview. And so you can like essentially take a PDF and make almost like a podcast episode all by itself using AI, and then just start like listening to it, and it helps you understand what's in the PDF. You could build like mind maps off of it, study guides, briefing docs, and like so on and so forth. Like there's a
I mean, I get where you're coming from, right? There's a lot of AI. So I have a couple things for this. Before we even talk about AI, right? One of the biggest things to be successful in life is something where I failed, where I feel like I failed with my first kid as a younger person, where I was really raised on hard work, right? Getting things done, perfection, good grades. Like, I was raised during that era of like following the status quo, and like I really pushed that on her, and then eventually the critical thinking. And where it really comes down to what I've realized in life after 40 years is one thing that schools neglect is critical and rational thinking, but is research. Is like, and I feel like research gets overlooked because it's like, go do a report and research this Christopher Columbus. And no one wants to do it.
Judged on that, what you produce, not the research you do.
But the process is important. So the biggest thing to be successful in life is when you have a problem or a question. And John knows, and Carlos, right? Like in business, you could separate employees from people that are intrapreneurs, right? In your organization, or just a doer. And the difference is do I need to tell you how to go figure something out, or are you capable of figuring it out on your own using whatever resources you have at your disposal. Prior to AI, it was Google search, it was encyclopedias before that, libraries, whatever you want to say. And we neglected to ever teach our kids that. And that's something I've seen because I have now a 19-year-old, a 9-year-old, and young babies, right? So like I raise these kids and I see what's missing. And it's like, now bring AI in. And everyone's afraid of it. And so now I've started teaching my son, when you have questions or a problem, you have this tool. The thing is not just to ask dad for the answer, is to think about how to phrase the question and to go ask it to solve your problem or to learn what you want to learn. And that's where I think I line up with what you're saying, right? It's like AI is, I don't think you should be your head in a screen in school. Like I believe we probably spend too much time on screens, but I think where schools need to adopt it is not to say don't use it, but even when you use it, I did it this morning finishing up my article. I needed to fact check things. So I sent it to ChatGPT. I was like, okay, send me the average rents for this area, this area, this area. And then I hopped on Zillow and I was like, let me get some real figures. And I'm fact checking. I'm asking my question. Do I believe it? Do I not? Do I think you're wrong? Where do you need to be corrected? And then I go over and I start looking up my own and I combine everything to come up with my idea of how to finish my article. That is how I think AI should be used. And everyone's afraid that instead you're going to say, what year was the United States discovered by Christopher Columbus? You know what I mean? And then just walk away. And that, I think, is the wrong way to use it. And I believe they're right. But I think with John, where I'm going with this, is there's a better way. And I think it can be used to benefit people. Because if you had more people in your organization that were able, you just said, oh, we don't have enough customers and we need more leads. And someone was like, okay, come up with like 5 ideas on how to generate leads. Here's my business. What one's the most feasible? What's the most someone did that for you? Tell me you wouldn't love that employee. You wouldn't want to promote them because now they're doing the thinking of AI without you telling them what to do.
Yeah, no, it's definitely people need to learn how to like interact it with. And I've seen some of Dan Martell's videos and he really harps on that a lot. Is like, and there was another guy, I watched a video yesterday and he was like, people think that AI is going to change the world, but I think he said I spent 45 minutes with ChatGPT writing a prompt of like explaining who I am, what I do, so on and so forth. And like ultimately he's like, what he came back with asking, what are the 100 gaps that I'm missing in my life? And he's like, people think AI is going to level the playing field, but you have to know how to use it correctly to up the game. And so he said that like, even though AI is now available, it's going to increase the gap because there's going to be like the smartest people who figure out these types of things. They're going to be the ones that truly can use it to change the game. And everybody else is asking, when did Christopher Columbus
just like the internet,
United States?
Exactly, right? Just like the internet, there are guys who run a great website for their business to attract leads. And then there's the ones who's like, oh, I'm on the internet. Let me just put up this shitty fucking one-dimensional website. And here you go. Right. I have a website, right? Like all the tools are available, the same ability to make a great site to attract customers. But we all know of businesses, right, that have good or bad. One is really excelling with it. And even with the same tool, one is really doing poorly. One is using the internet to make money. Another guy may be using it just to watch, XXX videos or something, and he's not using it for anything else or to scroll social. So there's definitely that gap, right, of people who will excel with it. But I am torn. I was signing my kid up for football yesterday, right? And they asked him to sign his name on a liability thing. So he's like, cursive. And I'm like, do you know cursive? Because I really questioned whether the school taught it to him. And he's like, yeah. And me and the mom started talking, the football mom started talking about like just the state of school, right? And like computers and how she's like, yeah. So cursive is an elective that teachers can either they get this elective time that they have extra, right, in public schools. So she's like, they can either use it to play on the pad and do the app games or to do something like cursive and teach them. And apparently Cohen's teacher used the time to do that. And I'm not even happy with the fact that they're forcing me to have my kid on an app at school, like an iPad. He has his own iPad. I have to sign a liability waiver. Like, I don't have a fucking choice. They literally threaten me with his education if I don't sign that I'm willing to pay for this if it's broken, even though I don't want him to fucking have it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so I guess what I'm getting at is like, I feel like we should also have less screens and more pen and paper. And it's like, but I'm also torn because I agree with you, John. Like, you need to.
But so I think you're right, and you should go look.
How
up
do you
Walt-
bridge that gap to like paper?
I think it's
pen?
age, right? I've had this debate so many times with parents, and they're like, "Yeah, I got my kid into learn how to code when they're like 10." And I'm like, "Why? Why are you doing that?"
Unless your
They're
kid is like,
children.
yeah,
Right, unless they're a freaking genius and they're going to be in Harvard by the time
and
they're
they're
like
begging you, and they're begging you,
Right.
and they're like sneaking coding.
This kid would have already watched all the Star Trek at this point. If they're 10 years old, they would have said.
You fucking listen. As a parent, you know your kid's a fucking nerd or not. Do not try to make him. If your kid's a fucking nerd and he's a coder, you know, okay, like you know.
Yeah.
And my kids are not coders. I know.
Yeah. And so I'm like, why are you doing this? Like the most intelligent people that I work with that write code are self-taught, never went to school for it, found the motivation, found the drive, and went and did it themselves. And they're freaking geniuses at it. Like, why are we trying to force our kids to like learn something they may never use? And even if they do use it, they're not going to become like experts in it because they did it 10 years longer than anybody else. Like it's totally irrelevant. So yeah, I agree with you. And you should go look up Waldorf education because that's what my kids do. And everything is pen and paper. I had to fight with their seventh grade teacher this year because she wanted them to type up essays. And I'm like, why? Like my kid does not need to learn how to do this. Now he's getting to the age that he will. And when he hits ninth grade, like we'll start fast tracking towards that. But I have no worries that he will catch up in an instant. It's not like because he hasn't used like essay tools or anything like that since fourth grade, like he's going to be behind. Like the kid is smart. Like he will pick it up and he will adapt to that skill. And what we focus on is like
that other kids won't though.
What?
I said he'll have a skill other
kids
won't.
Yeah. And that's what we focused on is that side of stuff, like the right relationship that you have with education. Though. Yeah,
that's important in success in life, not being able to fucking use an app. And because all they do is use these iPads to play math games and stupid fucking games that are like horrible for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, that's not like,
I mean, public education is built to be a babysitter so that parents can go to work anyway.
It's absolutely horrible. It really is. I 100% can't argue. And, like, it was really tough because, like, I feel like I failed my eldest daughter because I wasn't aware of a lot of things in my 20s because I had her so young and I was following the status quo. And now with my son, it's like I'm trying, like I got to convince his mom, but like where we're compromising is trying to send him. So there's a classical Christian education school, which is based on like Greek education. So it's rational and logical thinking in a religious setting. And they really try to teach that way of like philosophical thinking, not the typical public school education. So I think we're kind of meeting middle ground.
I like that.
One day we get to homeschooling. But she comes from a different mindset of like a lot of people, right? You need going to school is essential. I don't believe that. I think my son learns more about money and math trying to collect rent for me. And you know what I mean? Like he does, he learns, you know what I mean? Like being on the road with dad, but I get it. But yeah, homeschooling and AI. And I was telling you before, they're trying to do like metaverse schools. I think tech in schools is a very love-hate relationship for a lot of parents.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's I was going to say it's a wild card, kind of like how the kid could turn out. Yeah, like this is the first generation where you see like 6-year-old kids can like maneuver on iPads like better than we can.
It's horrible. So if you read the studies for that, like, so I thank my wife for making me aware of what these screens and the fast-paced color movements and all those things do to a kid that age and how it messes up with their brain and their frontal, whatever she calls it, whatever this part is of processing, and it causes depression. It's like reducing your, I don't know, she has a name, your serotonin, all oxytocin or whatever it is, and it's messing these kids up mentally at such a young age. Which has been back in the day, we didn't have it. We had very slow, dull colors, slow moving pictures, and it's just very different. And like here, you see like these iPad kids, and it's like my kids. Emma didn't get a phone until she was 16. She had nothing. We don't have video game systems. My son has a computer, which is kind of like locked down until like he needs to go look up ChatGPT or he has something he's got to do. Or we used to do the Elon Musk synthesis school, which I thought was really cool, logical, rational thinking education. And now they have a math one too. But we don't do screens. Like they're not allowed to watch TV. The only time we watch TV is as a family at night, movie night. Or if dad's watching Magnum PI or one of dad's shows, like you can sit down and watch that. But wasn't that how it was when you grew up? You could watch.
It was.
Parents were watching TV. You had to watch whatever your dad or whatever was watching. Otherwise,
we always watched TV as a family. I didn't get to watch my own things.
You didn't get to just like sit in your bedroom until maybe you were like 16, 18 or whatever. Like, you weren't 6 years old with your own. Like they literally sit on it. I was at a friend's house, right? Literally sitting on a couch. The screen is like right in here. They got their knees folded up, and the kids are just on the couch with their screens. And you can't say anything as a parent, as another parent. You can't just educate somebody else's, like another parent, and be like, "Hey, have you read the study about what?" You'll be kicked out of the house. You'll be kicked out of the fucking house, bro.
Yeah. No, we're not as strict as you are. I think we're gonna go more strict. Our kids aren't on devices all the time. They don't leave the house. Like we still have like family time. They do have devices, but that only happened in the last year. And the majority of it is because they use it to communicate with other kids in their homeschool program, because they're only on school sessions like
what do they do,
1 hour or 2 hours a day. Like they're building friendships and they want to be able to communicate.
The texting?
Yeah. Texting.
AIM was lit back in the day.
Right.
Were you guys on AIM?
Oh my God.
What kind of, fucking AIM. Fuck yeah. And I had like this weird half perverted screen name because I was like a 13-year-old boy and I was like, it's got to have some like crude.
Here's my nerdy screen name, Dragon Lord 407. There it was.
Dude. Oh man, I was like, what was I? I was like Roman 69. You know what I mean? I'm never 69 at that age. You know what I mean? But like, I'm fucking like, all the girls are gonna know. Oh, dude, it was so like thinking back. It's so embarrassing that was my screen name. But like,
that was a big thing though for like in our age growing up. That was a big thing.
You had to leave your away like, and when you got home. Yeah. You and me, and that wasn't until like I was in 9th grade, I think.
That was like middle school.
Until like, 9th grade. But like, I don't know. I was gonna say, John, flip phones.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find this perfect blend of a flip phone that has a QWERTY keyboard. Maybe not a flip phone, but any type of old school phone. QWERTY keyboards, allows email, texting, nothing else. And it's really hard to find. They don't. So if they have email, they have access to an app store, which then I will obviously, with my weak mind and my weak, addiction to it, I'll download the other apps. I'm trying to find one that's pre-installed. And that's all I effing like I want a BlackBerry, but today. That's what I wanted. BlackBerry went out of goddamn business and it pisses me off.
So, like, I see your point, and I think that makes sense as an adult. And I think we're saying we want those types of things because our jobs, our life is so much on these things, and it would be nice to like be able to step away. Like, I actually like my kids jump on FaceTime calls with their friends, and which I love because I'm like, stop texting, jump on a phone call with them. Like, it's like stop texting.
So it's tough because there's some things you want. So then they go, well, you can just set up the parent controls. You could download.
I have all of that stuff on.
And it's like, I get it, but like, as long as it's kind of like when I have ice cream in the house. My willpower is not to buy it. It's not to eat it. If I have access to it, I'm eating it. But like, I was watching this girl, and she was like, she did this like series of like detoxing, and one of the things she did a week with a flip phone, and what was funny is what she noticed, right? Not only, obviously, we all know it was wonderful, it helped her, all this, but it was funny because she was showing pictures when she's hanging out with her friends, and it reminded me of other posts. And she's like, what I've noticed now that I don't have a phone, like to be on, is everybody is always on their phone. So she has this video of like her pictures or whatever of all of her friends. They're all hanging out together, but every one of them is on a couch with their head in their phone. None of them are conversing together. Do you remember when we were young though? And like when you were over at a friend's house, you had no phone. You were just in the moment. So it was like, and that's the thing is I've seen pictures when you start going back of like how things used to be to how things are now. I feel like there's this disconnect. And with kids in public school, they're being taught on pads. They're being taught on this all day, and then they come home to it. And it's like, and now we're talking about bringing AI in. And I think the bad part about that is it only exacerbates the rest of the tech you're throwing in their face. I think it should be the only time tech is used. You should not be learning math on an app on a pad. You should have a pen and a freaking paper or a calculator. You don't need to play a fucking dog eating.
Yeah. Have you seen like the kid tutor things that they have with AI now? It's amazing.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. I thought we were.
No, it's like they teach them. So it's like they have a conversation with the kid like while it's doing math problems, and versus like them playing a game.
Yeah,
it's like actually like a communication back and forth. So yeah, I like your point of like that.
It's just it's tough, man. And like, so I know Cohen's not going to have a phone until he's 16. I don't care. Of course, he has.
It's brutal for him making friends.
I don't give a shit. He'll make friends because he's fucking awesome. And that'll be that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we wouldn't have done phones for our kids if they weren't on like virtual school and whatnot.
That's the cleanest way to go about it. Like, I think that's the best quality of life mentally for kids in the long run. Just my assumption, because the dopamine is a real thing, and we even see it with adults. How many adults are just constantly, including myself? That's why I take it off my phone a lot of times, just scrolling through apps. It's like some of the smartest people in the world are designing devices for you just to be locked on as much as possible. You're on there more than you're.
It's working, and that's what that girl was saying. And she was like, she didn't notice it until she didn't have a phone. That she took pictures in the subway, everywhere she was taking pictures of it. And she said, I never noticed it until I couldn't use my phone. She goes, everyone walks around like a zombie looking down on their phone. And she was just showing all these things. And that's what reminded me of like when people do the 2003 comparison to like 2023. And you're like, in 20 years, look at how friends hang out. One picture, they're all hanging out on the bed, having fun, no tech in sight. In another, they're all sitting around staring at their phone. And so like, where I want to
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's interesting because like my son came up to me a couple nights ago, and he's like, Dad, I really want to figure out how to like spend less time watching things. Like video games don't like entice me as much as they used to. Like I'd rather be doing these other things, and like how do I get the motivation for like, so that like situation kind of like brought up like now I can have this conversation with him, and it's going to take a long time. Like we started on it, and like it's going to take many sessions to kind of get into all of those things. But like he had the realization, and like now I'm able to educate him on all of that stuff versus like the opposite situation of like not having it.
You're trying to force it as a parent.
Forcing it, and then now he's off on his own, and like sure, oh yeah, Dad said this used to be this way, but like now I can like be on that journey with him, which is kind of exciting.
So here's kind of how I want to battle it with my son, where I made the mistakes with my eldest and where I think I'm going to battle it. I want to make it difficult. I want to make it available but difficult, kind of like the old adage of like if you've ever profit first mechanism is like how to make sure your business, you have a separate bank account with money for your taxes or whatever. You have to have a separate login. It makes it more difficult. So he's got a computer with
you got to do push-ups to unlock Instagram.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. But like I will allow my son, so like he has a computer, and we have like I have like a house iPad, right, that I use. So he can have an Apple ID, he can have FaceTime, he has email, he can hop on Zooms, but he's got to do it all from the computer base, right? So it's not that he can't, kind of like how we used to. If you wanted to talk to your friends, you had to be at your computer on AIM, chit-chatting, BRB. But when you go out into the world, you are not distracted by your device, because I believe where the best part of life where we lost is the fact that when we left our home, we left our technology. And when we came back, we checked our messages, responded, and we did what we had to do. You sit there for a while making calls, because you had like a home voice message box, and you would have to call everybody back. And so that's what I want my kids to experience. And so that's what I'm teaching with music, with CD players, DVD players, is like, instead of making it available, I want to make it difficult. It's there, but you have to try to use it. It's not just here or on your hip. So it's like, John, what you're saying, it's not that my kid can't FaceTime with somebody. It's that
Right.
we will have to schedule a time like we used to. Hey, John, will you be home at 8 o'clock tonight? I'm going to call you and we'll talk. And you would be on the phone playing N64, talking to your friend at 8 o'clock, you know, and your mom would get on the other line like, it's time for bed. Ma, you're embarrassing me.
Those are great times.
No, man. I used to eavesdrop on my sisters all the time. I'd like pick up the other phone and like
So
listen.
funny.
Yeah. And like, so I feel like, and I'm not saying I'm right because obviously you don't know as a parent until after the
It's
fact.
all an experiment. We never know.
But luckily I had one guinea pig already. She
Yeah.
turned out wonderful, but there's also some things I feel like, and she grew up in that generation of everything being now. And there was a struggle. Dad, my friends have a phone. Dad, my friends have this. Dad, my friends have a smartphone, not this phone. And it's tough as a parent to navigate that.
Yeah,
And
we
so
saw it with
my son-
my kids' cousins. Like they'd hang out, and like the moment they got phones, it's like that's all they would do is be on their phones. And they were young at the time; they were like 6, 8, 4, and they hated it. And they're like, "I really want to play with them." And so we keep telling them, "I was like, do you remember how it feels like?" And so we don't like our kids are not allowed on devices out. Like it's not a thing.
Yeah. And that's why I
because
want
of
to keep
that,
it the way,
and they have that frame of reference. So like, I remember what it felt like when my cousin was ignoring me doing something on her phone.
But I do it, John, and that's where
Yeah.
I want because I've noticed that I'm not present, and so I'm torn. And I know we're supposed to be talking about school, but now it's like I am torn because I have a business to run,
right?
and I need to respond to emails. Like I'm not at a point in my life where I am so successful that I am removed. Like that's not who. And even I think that's a crock of shit. I think no matter what, you still need to be available for your business, right? Like no matter Anyway. So I want something to help me because how rude am I being to my children when I'm out and dad's sitting in the front seat on his phone in a parking lot instead of driving you home because I got to respond and we all know as soon as you go to text, it's like an addiction. You almost always open that app to Insta and you lose 2 minutes or 5 minutes and you're like, oh, fuck, I got to go. And I want that to stop. So I'm trying to find the right phone that can email. I don't care what it is, flip phone, smartphone. There's silent phone, ghost phone. There's more. I've went through the list of them all, but none of them just have the email and texting without having access to it. And I need that. It's like not having ice cream in my house. I cannot have access to it because I know I'm weak and I know I'll
Have you tried any of the blocker apps on your phone?
Yeah, that's not, bro. I'll bypass all that shit and then I'll fucking cancel it the next day. I know my willpower. My willpower is not to not eat ice cream. It is to not buy it and make it difficult for me. I would have to go to the fucking store, and I know I'm too lazy to do that. Here, I have to shut my flip phone off, reconnect my smartphone. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's too much for me. Like, I'm too lazy to do that. Like, I'm not that addicted. So I just need this other thing. And that's what I want. Like, when my kids get a phone, that's what they're doing. And I've heard so many, like that high schooler I told you guys about, who got all of his friends to get rid of their smartphones and to go to flip phones. And he talked about how much better his life became in high school, how much more he had time for school, for sports, like everything.
Yeah. I agree.
So I don't know, but it's tough because you want your kids to learn AI. You want your kids to be familiar with tech, but you don't want them to get sucked in to what our generation got sucked into. Because I feel like I lost a part of my life to the addiction of social media and how much more I could have accomplished. And it's like,
I don't think I want my kids on social media until they're 18. Like we're avoiding that like the plague. Like nope. No. They haven't asked, thank God. And I don't know if any of their, I mean, luckily we're surrounded by a lot of like thinking parents with their kids. So
I let Emma was on when she got her phone.
I remember you told us like she wanted Snapchat and you put it for like 1 minute.
yeah. She was so upset.
That.
When she was 18, I unleashed everything. But even though she was still living in our house, like she got full access to everything. But I slowly released it because I trust her. And then we had spot checks. The rule was, if you don't want dad to read whatever you have on your phone out loud at the dinner table in front of everybody. So like, and at first she would argue, right? Like, and I would be like, go, I'm a pretty angry dude. Go get it now. and she'd go get it, and then she'd be like, Dad, you're embarrassing me. I was like, well, then you shouldn't be saying some shit that you're embarrassed about, because this is a spot check. And I said, and she would try not to do it. I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't need to do it, but now you don't get your phone. No, I need my phone. Well, then unlock it. Here we go. Random. Never knew when it was going to happen. In front of everybody. Didn't fucking care. And that worked for me. And now, I think I did pretty good for that. I feel like I could do better.
You always can do better.
Yeah.
Struggle of life, isn't it?
As a parent is no matter what, you suck. You will fuck your kid's life up. The goal is just not to fuck it up too bad in a really bad way. That's it. Just don't try to fuck them up too bad. Somehow you're going to fuck their life up. Just gotta minimize it. You know what I mean? Like something's going to happen. So
yeah. Well, hey, I don't know if anybody tuned in because the title of this episode is Mobile Home Park Closing and AI in Education.
Oh, shit. We didn't even talk about the park.
You want to give a snippet to that and we can talk more about it next week?
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it next week. Closed on it, dude. 73 mobile home lots, apartment, office building, storage unit. Not a storage unit like everyone talks about, just like an empty section of a building. But 1.9 mil, 7 months.
Took 7 months to close from contract to close.
And it shouldn't have, but it did. It was a lot of mistakes on my end. I think so much I would do different, lining up the lending. When you've never done a loan in a mobile home park before, you don't have that network. So like now, if I buy another park in this area or in the state of Arkansas, I have a lender that has already vetted me, that I'm performing for, right? Like obviously I'm going to make my payments to them. I can call them. And so now that cuts all this time back. Yeah. I save like 30 days. Plus, like, you have to have all these docs, dude. It's like, it's worse than a proc state exam. It is like tax returns for 3 years and showing all your, and dude, they would just make requests and just to get to the point to offer you a loan. Yeah. And so like, there was a lot of time that it took. I started in December. My DD ended in December. Started the day my DD ended and I was going to buy it to get my loan. What I would do differently is start looking for my lender before I end my DD, but not pay for any surveys, appraisals until I knew my DD was over, but at least have my lender lined up. So when my DD was over, I could immediately roll into the term sheet and the final underwriting, and I could probably shave a couple months off of that. But a lot of it, and then we had an issue with like, I waited an extra, the survey guy took forever. And so I needed a couple. We were supposed to close in February and we didn't close until last week. So 2 months of extensions, and the seller was cool about it. So we closed it and now I'm heading out there next week. Gonna check it out.
Learning process.
Heck yeah, dude.
Check it out.
One thing we have, if we look back from when we started the podcast of what you spoke into existence, what you're going to do, you're doing it.
Yeah, and then
cool.
I posted that. Speaking of which, I posted it on Instagram, and the guy who sold me my first park, old buddy of the show, Tyler, he reached out and he texted me, he's like, "Congrats, bro, that's awesome." He's like, "Hey, I might have another park to sell you." And I was like, "Dude, this would be awesome, dude. You've sold me my first, now you can sell me my fifth." He's like, "It's in Little Rock, right next to your other one. I'll let you know in a couple months." And we haven't talked in a while, so it was nice to chit chat with him. But he's got a new baby. Well, not new, but now a baby. So he's living life as a parent, loving life. So I thought that was interesting. Good things come to all these things, but it's a process, dude. And here's something. What I learned. So this is what my mortgage broker told me. And I told her, I said, "You are a very good salesman," because she knows how to what do you call it? Stroke someone's ego, right? Mm-hmm. But here she was very blunt. And I was like, "So what's the deal? Why is this why are they questioning me so much?" And she's like, "Well, Brandon," she was like, "you're not really taken seriously until you own 10 parks. That's the number."
10 parks?
She goes, "Once you own 10 parks, pretty much anyone will close with you. There's not a lot of question of your capability." What I don't know if I told you guys is they actually made it a contingency on the term sheet that they gave me, right? My loan commitment was for them to go to one of my parks, meet my manager, walk the park and inspect the units to see.
One of your existing parks.
Right? thank God my baby, right? My first park, which I call my baby because like I baby that shit. It's like my pride and joy. And she was going to go to one of my other ones. I was like, hey, like, why don't you go to this one? It's the most like the one you're giving me the loan on. So she did. Then I thought that was funny. I was like, Emma, like the broker, I was like, why is this happening? Like, I would have never thought, like, here I own 3 parks. Like, I proved that I've never defaulted. Like, she goes, you're not really taken seriously until you have 10. You know what I mean? This will be number 4 for you. And they're questioning whether like you could, and I haven't turned any either. So
Right.
like I still am implementing. And I thought that it was kind of insulting, but like I get it. I'm a what do you call it? A neophyte. I'm a noob.
Mhm.
And they had to go walk it. Luckily, my manager, Mary, she knocked it out of the effing park. She's phenomenal. Showed them. We happened to have a fully remodeled unit ready, vacant, because the guy was going to move in that day, but the weather pushed him back, so it was still empty.
We
So
got
she got him in. Everything worked out, and Mary and Emma told me that Mary was wonderful. They spoke very highly. They went to their loan committee meeting that day because she had to do it in the morning to go give her.
Stars aligned, man.
Yeah, because so the loan committee to approve me was at like 10 or 11, and she had to go at like 8:30 to knock this out, to then go back, meet, and give her opinion of whether I am worthy as an operator to give this loan, or am I going to fuck their money up? And so like that was what the final box that ticked, and I never knew. If you told me on day 1 they were going to do that, I would have never guessed that would have been a thing. I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't know it. It's not like I staged anything. We literally knew a couple days beforehand. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, I hope everyone's trash is picked up. There's a lot of fines if I don't close this loan. Like, me, like, it's fine, bro.
Oh man, yeah.
That's funny.
So it's a
Stars
le-
aligned for you, BP.
A learning lesson. I'll be ready next time, but like I would have never thank God I bought my first couple parks cash and seller finance, because I don't know if I would have ever been able to get approved for a loan with no experience. So thankfully to Tyler for my first seller finance park got me in, and that park is what got me this loan. And I did that because I gave my time away free to John, right? To get on his webinars to educate,
that's right.
teach, talk. Yeah, where I talked about mobile home parks. Tyler heard it, set up a call, not to even talk about that, but to help him with something else. After I did that, he pitched me a park. All of that led to this 4th one being contingent on inspecting that first park that all came.
That's hilarious.
So, isn't it how weird? All of that, and people always complain about talking to people without like sending $500 to talk to somebody. Like, yeah, you want my time? Venmo me $500 and I just do it for free, because you never know what is going to come from it.
Yeah.
Wild. So
Good
thanks,
stuff.
John. Thanks,
You're
bro.
welcome.
Thank Investor Fuse. Boom, parent. Like, without you guys, wouldn't have my park.
Join
You know?
InvestorFuse and have 4 parks one day.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, which is also, go on. Investor Fuse. We have Investor Fuse customers on. Come on as a guest. Talk about what you're working on. Go on webinars. Teach. Give things away for free. You never know what's going to happen the days. I never agreed with people charging for everything. I think you should be openly and willingly to give what you've learned. And when you do that, good things will come back to you in time.
That's why I'm here today. I was doing a little bit of Podio consulting through Upwork, and one guy contacted me. I looked who he was, and I was like, yes, I'll do anything you want. And he's like, how much? I was like, for free. Let's go.
Yeah.
And he sent me 15 clients, and I grew from there.
Is that the same guy that turned me on to you?
No, that was Matt Terrill.
Oh.
10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Long ass time ago. Very beginning.
And I think even Hermosi talks about it too. It's like, just do the work, bro. Shut up.
Yeah.
Do the fucking work. Things will come back to you. You don't know if you're always so stingy with your time, which is why I don't agree with people like Robert Wensley and all this shit of like, yes, we all know time is fucking valuable, dumbass. Like, we fucking get it. He's like, I'm not picking up my phone. Bullshit, you're not picking up your phone. You pick up your phone, but you're just smart enough now to know who to pick it up for.
But he's kind of a hypocrite about that, because before
and he's always on his phone posting on social media, arguing.
Well, no, what I'm talking about is like in order to get to Investor Lift, he went and worked for somebody. Brad Chandler, right? For ages.
Yeah.
In the process, in the working day to day, and figured out a problem and a solution.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Everyone's got to start somewhere, dude. So, anyway, that's it. That's it. I'll update you guys after I go, and we'll see what kind of clusterfuck I got myself into next week.
Love it.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful weekend. See you all next week.
Lock and
Likewise.
load.
Later, guys.